What's up, everybody? We're back doing another video with my good friend Smiley. Before we get started, everyone just give a quick moment of silence for Smiley. There's nothing wrong with
Well,
him. He just lives in Europe. That's it. um, you can say hi, Smiley.
yeah, hello. It's a moment of silence, so I'm not supposed to say hi, am I? But
Yeah.
I hope I'm not gonna be here for long, man. When I see this shit happening, like I just want to get out, move to like Colombia or something. I don't know.
All right. So yeah, we just figured we would do another video, 15, 20 minutes of us rambling about the markets. Obviously a lot has changed. I think last time we did a video, we had just started downtrending, and here we are like negative 20% lower across all assets pretty much except for TradFi. So yeah, I mean, last video came out, we were super bearish, basically saying, end of the world kind of thing. Smiley came in, gave his macroeconomic takes. We justified it using green and blue lines, moving averages, market structure, things like that. We came to an agreement that the market kind of looked like shit, and lo and behold, the market has turned to shit. 2 weeks later. So we're here to just update you guys and just chill, have fun. So hopefully you learn something, you enjoy the video. But the way that I see Bitcoin at the moment, so I'm just going to ramble for 5 minutes and I'll let Smiley kind of take over. The way that I see Bitcoin at the moment is it's so unbelievably weak. It's actually hard to watch. Coming from someone who's a Bitcoin maximalist for a long period of their like crypto career, right, probably up until like 2 years ago, it's really hard to watch this because not only are we downtrending across literally all time frames. So, like, if you guys know, my 4 second rule is within 4 seconds, you need to be able to tell me where are we going on this chart, right? And within 4 seconds, you're able to say, yeah, the weekly is downtrending, right? So if the weekly is downtrending, then you zoom into the daily, and that's also downtrending. You zoom into the 4 hour, that's also downtrending, right? And we're analyzing a downtrend with something like lower highs and lower lows, right? So it's clearly making lower highs and lower lows across all time frames. And then even when we zoom into something like the hourly, look at this fucking trend, right? Look how abysmal this is. It's consistently getting rejected and finding these tops along hourly 200s, right? That is not a measure of, oh, it's so oversold. It's actually a measure of this thing is so fucking weak that we bounce 3, 4, 5% and we immediately get smacked back down to continue downtrending, right? And if we compare this to something like ETH, I actually think ETH is a better portrayal of where the crypto market is at the moment, just kind of because it's not as clearly downtrend, right? And I don't feel so like I'm using gut instinct. I don't feel as though the market is very black and white at the moment. I don't think that it's just clearly up or down. I think it's a little bit choppy. I think there's some arguments to be made on both sides. The trend for Bitcoin is absolutely fucking clear, right? Let's get that straight. But for something like ETH, when we're analyzing this local trend, right? So these 2 hour 200s, let's just look at how well they got respected within the past 5 months or so, right? When we look at that trend, all of a sudden that trend is no longer being respected, right? So we went from using these 2 hour 200s as a very clear cut trend and downtrending just the same way that Bitcoin was downtrending along those hourly 200s to now we reclaimed them, we lost them again. Here we are reclaiming them, right? All within the span of like 2 days. So what does that tell you? It probably tells you that the trend is, at least for Ethereum, there is no trend, right? And we go look at altcoins. A lot of altcoins are kind of doing something similar. Some are still following Bitcoin and just in kind of free fall mode. But as far as I see it, ETH is just kind of sideways. And I think that that's a more accurate portrayal of where the entire market is kind of at the moment. It's at like this like pivot zone where whatever kind of happens next might determine, the next major leg in either direction. So obviously range trading 101, I had a tweet the other day, something about that. It was basically just, hey, if we break out of the range in either direction, right, you typically just don't fight that range breakout. And that was the case for something like Bitcoin. Every single range that, formed, we broke down. We range for a week, we break down, and then we continue to break down. And we range again, we continue to break down. And you just don't want to be fighting that. So if that happens for ETH in either direction, that's going to be my new bias. And that's going to be the side that I look to play. At the moment, I don't see a way for me personally as Trader Mercury to come in and trade Ethereum. Very quick before I give Smiley and let him take over, the altcoins that I have on my radar at the moment are things like EOS, which is absolutely crazy because when EOS is the strongest thing in the market, that should kind of tell you something, right? So EOS, obviously, this is very clearly an uptrend. This is something that I've been playing personally for probably a week now. I've also been looking at Raven, is not too bad. Similar kind of thing, right? Very trendy. And the last one is KNC. So these are the three altcoins that I've been playing. I have not been touching Terra Classic or Luna Classic, whatever it is, just because I'm not a low time frame scalper. And when volatility is that extreme, it's best for me to kind of just fuck off with my already pre-established position and just manage the position rather than look for things like new entries or even look for shorts. So I can't really, I'm not allowed to touch Luna Classic, but these are three altcoins that I have on my watch list. And from here, I'm just going to let Smiley take over. We might poke his brain a bit and ask him some questions. So go ahead, Smiley. Everybody can see your screen. You're good.
Okay, first of all, when you see EOS and Raven and Luna, whatever it is,
Yeah,
like pumping, I think that that's a good top signal. It's something like Doge.
absolutely.
It's pretty much something like Doge, you know, when like Dogecoin and Shiba and whatever Doge chain we had the last time.
Yep.
When I called the top, it was pretty much a local top in like all the markets, and even meme stocks were rallying back then. I remember like you also have meme stocks as much as you have meme coins in the what's it called in the stock market.
Yeah.
So I think I called a Pico top. I'm not sure. Hold
Hey,
on
hey,
if
you
that's
mean
yeah.
we called Pico Top? Oh, this man already had it copy pasted.
Nah, but that was just me tweeting, literally, just me saying it's pretty much
Hey,
yeah.
I
I
was
guess
talking about this on
it's not loading, but
I was talking about this on Twitter Spaces. Do you remember when we were talking about the stock market and I was like, Smiley, if 433 for SPY wasn't the top, it was like the day after 433 or whatever. Yeah, it was
yeah,
literally
this
the
is
next day. And
for
I was like, Smiley, if that isn't the top, there is no top. And then obviously that was the top.
I
So,
saw this stop for a couple of reasons, pretty much because dark coins were pumping in crypto, meme stocks were pumping in traditional markets. The Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla were starting to trend down. When you see those major leaders starting to trend down, that's usually a bad sign because they're supposed to be leading the market, and the meme stocks are not supposed to be leading the market. And dollar was completely bottomed out, like technically speaking, from the indicators, from price perspective, from how it pretty much looked on the charts. It looked fantastic for a long opportunity. If you long dollars, if you trade futures on that, I personally don't. But I pretty much called a Pico top. I don't want to like toot my horn, but it is what it is, and it was Pico top. And pretty much all of the markets. Could we revisit these levels? Who knows? But for now, that was pretty much the top. It was the same for Bitcoin. But yeah, I agree with you that it looks abysmal. But I wanna touch on your points. Like yeah, EOS, Raven, and Luna pumping. That's a top signal again for me. KNC is actually a good project, so I'm not gonna say it's a top signal. It's just a good project that's pumping and showing strength in bear market. You guys should pay attention to whatever is showing strength in bear market that is not a shitcoin like EOS that could perform good in future bull markets. BNB is one of the prime examples. Like
yep.
it keeps hitting all-time highs on BNB Bitcoin chart, and it just keeps showing strength even on USD chart. It's just not nuking. So it's one of the projects that's just showing strength, and Monero is one of them as well. It hasn't completely nuked. Like you can see, it's not a complete bear market. It's not a just downward spiral. So you can keep track of that. But you did say you're not like to get on your points that you're looking at Ethereum as like indication for current market. I have to disagree with that. Like I will always look at Bitcoin for indication of like how the market looks, and this is how the market looks for me. It looks bad. Like I'm always the pessimistic type of guy, but I was bullish for almost 3 years. I was bullish since about when the Fed stopped raising rates in March. They announced it in March 2019, and I was bullish up until December 2021. That's almost 3 years of me being bullish. So people saying that I'm a bear only because I've been bearish for this entire downtrend, that's kind of incorrect. I have been bullish, but I have not been an influencer for 3 years. I have been pretty private for those 3 years, and I always told to my friends, and I was buying every dip here. I was buying the COVID dip. I was buying every single dip. So I have to disagree that Ethereum is kind of an indication or how the market looks. I don't think it is. I think S&P still is and BTC still is, and just BTC's weakness is just a portrayal of how it looks. Altcoins can be pumping if they want to, like any shitcoin can. But if you look through history, even in the bull markets, when Ethereum shows strength, like for instance, during this period, BTC was flat and it was
Yep.
downtrending. I remember like middle of April, BTC topped at 65K and then just
Yep.
started to downtrend, nuked, corrected, and did like a lower high 58K. And that lower high propelled Ethereum for like, it was just it doubled the Ethereum price. So like
Mhm.
what Ethereum is doing should not be considered actually what the market is doing. See that 100% in Ethereum was 20% in Bitcoin. And what happened afterwards? We all know what happened afterwards. So I'm not saying the history should repeat itself, but I just simply do not see Ethereum as a strong enough portrayal to how the market looks, even though the merge is upcoming and the whole narrative is here. I don't want to look at it that way. I think it's just overblown. A lot of people are positioned long. A lot of people are also positioned short as a hedge. They are holding spot for the airdrop or however that works. And when they close the shorts, of course, the how the funding and everything works, the squeeze works, the price goes up. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum even revisits these highs or even goes higher because the stock market is kind of on a weekly support and it's bound to bounce a little bit. Why not? You can see that. Let me just draw this for people. It's on a weekly support. Why wouldn't it bounce from here? Pretty much this order block here, like it's a
Yeah.
logical bounce, and why wouldn't we see these levels again? I opened the volume profile. I didn't have that last time. I'm gonna go into depth a little bit into that in a bit. But we're seeing a bounce here because CPI numbers are coming in a few days. They're probably going to be lower than expected. Market is going to take it as bullish, and people are going to have a relief rally. That's all fine and dandy, but I don't see us going any higher than these levels. Of course, if we break above, I'm going to have to reevaluate everything. But for now, I'm sticking to my guns. And I think we just revisit like 4,100. So I do not agree with you that Ethereum is a portrayal of the market.
Okay, okay. Let me
I,
sorry, I don't wanna cut you off. Let me
sure, yeah.
clarify my thoughts. My thought is Ethereum is currently chopping, so neutral bias, right? Because it's, like, trading in a range for the past 2 weeks, essentially. Uh, Whereas Bitcoin is basically down only. And there are lots of altcoins, probably majority of altcoins that are also down only, but there's a good amount of altcoins that look exactly like Ethereum, right? So Sol was down only, just like
Yep.
Bitcoin. Matic looks more like Ethereum.
Like
BNB
Ethereum, yeah.
USD looks more like Ethereum. Ethereum Classic looks more like Ethereum, right? So that's kind of where I'm getting at. So I'm thinking basically the way that I'm thinking about it is the entire crypto market is essentially holding on to that merge narrative for dear life, right? And the only reason that the market has held up and even is willing to go neutral rather than just straight up follow whatever Bitcoin's doing and just go down only is because of that sort of narrative. So I'm thinking whatever happens within the next week, within the next 2 weeks, whether we break out up, based off of that narrative or break down. I think if we break down, then the market's going to lose pretty much all the hope that it had, right? And any narrative that it had. And I would imagine that everything's just going to go back to following Bitcoin because, right, no one has any hope anymore. So my next question to you, I know that I cut you off, is do you think that the ETH merge is going to be a sell the news event? Because I personally do.
I'm gonna say two things about it. A lot of people are in this narrative that Ethereum merge is a sell narrative. Too many people are in that camp, you know. Too many people think that. Too many people are gonna be bearish around the merge, which kind of begs the question, is majority gonna be correct? Which usually isn't the case. But my second point to this, and I'm gonna completely flip this to something different, and I'm gonna open the chart that actually matters, and I'm just gonna say it doesn't fucking matter because we're just a higher beta of S&P. So whatever S&P does throughout the days of the merge, whenever that is, 13th, 15th September, I don't know when that is. I don't even, it
Yeah,
is? I think it's 15,
I
yeah.
think it. Yeah,
Whatever the stock market does, I think crypto is gonna follow. If stock market goes up, I think Ethereum is gonna boom. And especially because a lot of people are hedged, means they're short on derivatives and they're holding spot, so they
yeah,
gain, so they get the airdrop or whatever. I'm not
yeah.
doing that. And if stock market is going up, those shorts are gonna be closing, and Ethereum is gonna boom for a few days or for how long the stock market is going. So is it sell the news event? Is it not sell the news event? I personally don't care. I'm just gonna look at the stocks. Uh, Thinking about is it or is it not, I think it's incorrect approach because a lot of people do think it is, and they might as well get destroyed by shorting it with that mentality. I just think it's irrelevant, just because we're such a higher beta to equities. We do not have strength in the market to just do something on our own when it comes to crypto. Like we can see, even though the narrative exists, when equity started nuking, Ethereum started nuking as well. Nobody cares in the global markets and the global economic shitfest that the merge is happening. The
Right.
merge is not gonna save the global markets. So I think whatever S&P is gonna do throughout the days of the merge, I think Ethereum is gonna do the same. I think the shitcoins are gonna do exactly the same.
But
I
just
think
higher
the
beta.
just higher beta. I think the BTC is gonna do exactly the same, just lower beta
Just
than
lower
Ethereum.
beta because that thing is
Lower,
fucking heavy as shit.
yeah, it's heavy as shit. And to get on your point, like you said, that the entire market is just grasping on these straws when it comes to, they're just holding on to this one singular narrative, nothing else. There's literally nothing else going on in the markets right now, in the crypto markets. Liquidity is also abysmal for like day traders. They want to shoot themselves, you know. Like some famous day traders on Twitter, like Adam and Jim, they just want to take another vacation. It's just abysmal.
Yeah.
And even though September has returned and traditional markets are a bit more active and a bit more liquid, the crypto is just the liquidity is just drying out. So onto your point that the entire market is just hanging onto this one thread, onto this rope that's bringing up the markets, and the technology is going up. Ethereum is going up, Polygon is going up, then the ETC is going up, stuff like Cosmos. It's such a nice uptrend. But if the entire market is just holding on to this while the global macro is still shit, by the way, nothing has changed. Fed is going to raise rates again. They have announced today, like ECB raised by 75, and now the percentage of Fed swap sets odds of 75 basis points in September near 80%. So it's basically set in stone what I said in the last video we did. So the Fed is not easing. I think this is still a downtrend. It's a downtrend until it's confirmed otherwise, until we break these highs, you know. So the trend is down, and if crypto is only holding up to this one singular narrative, I think that's a very negative thing. And I think a catch-up trade, or should I rename it to a catch-down trade, is how much Ethereum is up compared to the Bitcoin, and this is this is
Yeah,
lows.
it's unreal.
It's and this is at high. So no
Right.
matter how high it goes, like let's just say it tops out here. This is just hypothetically speaking, doesn't even matter. The way to the lows is 45%, and Bitcoin can just range here while S&P also just bleeds slowly downwards, And when the merge narrative is done and people are like, okay, now this did nothing in the short term. Don't get me wrong, merge is pretty good for the long term price action for Ethereum and for the whole ecosystem. But for the short term, it doesn't matter because the whole economy, it's in a bear market. So it doesn't really fucking matter for the next few months. I think this is a good catch-up trade when it comes to shorts, or as I named it, catch down trade. I think it has a lot of room to go downwards, even if it tops higher. So just the whole thing that market is just hanging onto this one thread, I think it's even more unhealthy than people think. And I wouldn't portray it as strength. Like whenever Ethereum BTC evaluations go higher, it just spells doom for the market. So I personally I expect a relief rally. It brings Ethereum higher, of course it does. Could break the highs, of course. BTC is just going to be stuck in the range still. So yeah, that's my outlook. You can be long
Okay.
shitcoins here a bit, but yeah. I also wanted to speak about. I have this when it comes to you spoke about ranges. Let me just find this. Well, I can just portray it here. I don't need to find the tweet. You spoke about how it's just pretty much ranging, and when it does range, you should not fade the move. It's pretty much a breakout. So when compressions happen in crypto, I've saw like Jim has been talking about this, the cat guy on the
Yeah.
Twitter. When compressions happen, the longer the compression, the larger the expansion. Those are his words. I never named it before, so I'm just copying his words. But I've been using that analogy since the dawn of time, since I started trading crypto. And you can see those examples. Let me just portray this for people. Like this is pretty much a range,
Yeah.
as
I
you
have
can
a
see.
tweet. I have a tweet that's talking about exactly what you're talking about. I didn't know that Jim also talked about it.
Yeah, Jim talks about it a lot. Let me just, I think I can find it really fast here so I don't waste a lot of the time. Yeah, it's here. So compressions and expansions in recent history simplified on a plane chart, so I don't have to write like draw everything. And this is also what I've been saying for the September. I have to agree with you. It's gonna be choppy. Why? Because Ethereum is kind of uptrending. It's gonna chop everyone to pieces. It's probably gonna break some moving averages. It's gonna make people think it's going up. But BTC is still the leader of the market. It's still the S&P of the market, and Ethereum is just one of these for
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Ethereum is Apple, Ethereum is Amazon, Ethereum is Microsoft. Bitcoin is S&P 500. So that's why I keep my
Understood.
head straight towards this. But by the way, Queen Elizabeth just died as we are
Yeah, rest in
recording
peace.
recording this. Rest in peace. With everyone just waiting for a nuke, they are. Gut feeling that we crap for a few more weeks with lower CPI data, and inflation data is coming in 5 days, keeping markets buoyant. And what this word means is a bit ecstatic, but yeah, optimistic pretty much. If you're crazy enough to swing short, look for range high for a clear breakdown. So I wouldn't short here, I would short here, or I would just short, as you said, the breakdown of the range because the next targets are much lower.
Yeah.
So let me just portray this. The historical compressions, as you can see, compression here, it lasted for about 93 days. These are just like estimate drawings, don't get me literally, like they might be a few days off. The compression lasted for 93 days and the expansion was pretty violent and it was pretty much fueled by over leveraged market and the peak euphoria. You can see the small compression here, which resulted in much smaller expansion. So it's pretty much irrelevant. But you can see this was a really important compression. Like we were compressing for 102 days. It was one of the longest compressions in history of Bitcoin. So that's 3 months, 3.5 months of
Yeah.
compression. And I kept saying that once we do break out, even if it's to the upside or to the downside, but of course the narrative was downside due to the bear market. Crypto is kind of in this bear market. We just had parabolic rally. What do you expect? You still want us to go to 200K? That's kind of unrealistic. So the narrative and the rate hikes and the economy going to shit was pretty much bearish. So the assumption was that after breaking out of this range, the longer the range is, the longer the compression lasts, the more violent the expansion will be. And at 30K, I said that this expansion is not over. I tweeted it, we will nuke even harder. And we did nuke even harder. And this was one of the worst months in history of Bitcoin. It was just, it was
Yeah.
like, it was horrible. Like, look at this candle. I think it's one of the worst candles in history. can be compared maybe to this one or the May ones. It was just horrible. So that's what happens when we range for so long. And the longer we range, the bigger the expansion will be. Like to the downside or to the upside, that remains unknown. But you
Yeah.
can add the narrative of the macro, of technical analysis, or whatever you do to analyze the markets to assess if it's going to go down or if it's going to go up. And we have been compressing for quite a bit now. So this is the recent dump after the 102-day compression. See, this is the huge compression, and this is the current compression. Like we nuked and we started ranging. Like some people call it range, I call it compression, whatever. For now, it is 86 days, so it's getting a bit long. And if
Yeah.
we're gonna chop due to the narrative and S&P having a relief rally off the weekly support that I showed, dollar looking a bit local topish, has to correct a bit. CPI data coming in positive, inflation is a little bit lower probably. I think the markets are gonna rally a bit when it comes to Ethereum and S&P and shitcoins. BTC is just probably gonna stay range bound,
Yeah.
stay in this compression. And what does this result in? And this results in longer compression. This results in compression up to FOMC meeting, which is around here. And if the compression that lasted 103 days resulted in a drop of approximately 50%, I wouldn't be surprised the result of this compression that's probably going to be similar length results in either, I mean, maybe it's 50% down, maybe it's 50% up. I'm not going to say it's going up, it's going down definitely. That would be that would be foolish pretty much
Yeah, because we're still going sideways.
yeah, we're still going sideways. It can't happen. We can't go 50%. We can't
Yeah.
test 40K. Maybe it does happen. Maybe something changes geopolitically. The war stops. Jesus comes from heaven and just stops everything. I don't know. But as soon as this range resolves, I wouldn't fade the move. I wouldn't fade the move. And my personal bias, as everyone knows, and I'm gonna predict this, is my personal bias and my high conviction, it's not definitive, but my high conviction is lower prices. And these are my targets. This is my first target. It's 14K. My second target is about 10 and a half, $11,000. And that puts S&P at around these levels. As you can see, they're quite the important levels on the weekly. Also the volume nodes and volume profile, there's a bit of the higher the volume nodes are. Let me explain this to your viewers. It's like a magnet to the price, but it also serves as support and as resistance. As you can see, this volume node showed itself as a support right now, and this volume node is probably going to show itself as a resistance, which also goes well with the weekly support and resistance that are drawn at the beginning of the video.
Yeah.
So it pretty much coincides. If S&P nukes down here, BTC is pretty much going to these targets, these lows, and should probably get to these nodes and to these important levels of 10 and 11K, 12K, 14K, whatever. So that is my assessment. And the longer we range, the bigger the expansion. And just Ethereum is a play here for shorts, swing shorts. Just be careful because the merge is coming.
Yeah.
Okay, I should
One
turn
thing
this
I wanna
off on
say
daily.
is if if the merge narrative is not gonna be a sell the news event, I think obviously we have to go up, right? So ETH would have to go up. If ETH merge narrative is going to be a sell the news event, I feel like we would still have to go up to convince people that it's not going to be a sell the news event. Nothing has ever been a sell the news event when we're already downtrending in the midst of a red candle, right? It's never been that. It's always been okay, we're ripping, we're uptrending, we're uptrending, we're uptrending. We hit a high, okay, sell the news. And then you come back a month later, 2 months later, a year later, whatever. Oh shit, look, that was the top, right? Something like Coinbase listing or back in 2017, Bitcoin CME listing. So I feel like regardless of what's going to happen, you would have to see ETH doing exactly what it's doing right now, not just straight up dying the same way that Bitcoin is
Yeah, of
for
course. I
whatever
ex- I
happens, right? Whether we go
expect it
up
to
or
go
whether we
up.
go
Yeah.
down, it has to. It would like have to go up for it to be not a sell the news event and for us all to be wrong and like the crowd is wrong once again. The masses are wrong, which yes they tend to be, but I also feel like we would have to be uptrending to convince everybody, well, the masses, they all think that it's a sell the news event. It's probably not going to be that. And then it ends up being a sell the news event. So that's the way that I see it. As far as all the macro shit, I do tend to agree with you. SPY looks like it's bouncing, or SPX looks like it's bouncing. Um, Potentially a trend retest as a resistance for me on my side with my pretty little green and blue moving averages. Yeah. So
So
4 hour
that's pretty much
200s coming up soon. So I would think, maybe um, I should be expecting bearish retests. I'm also open to the fact that we might just totally not give a shit about the 4 hour 200s because of CPI, because of FOMC, because of all this other shit that I don't really understand. So I'm open to pretty much anything, but I think we can both agree here, Smiley, that the main thing is to just adapt, right? Because I think at the end of this video, really the conclusion that we come to is we still believe in macro downside. We're open to the fact that we might rally further from here, but really the only way that you survive is by adapting, right? Is by putting yourself in a position for whatever the fuck happens next, you're able to take advantage of it because it's probably going to be a nice little move that you most definitely are going to want to catch, right?
yeah,
You agree with
whatever
me?
whatever happens, people shouldn't fade it. If somehow something resolves macro and we start making higher highs on the weekly time frame, and we break the recent highs, we break these volume nodes. I don't know if you're looking at my screen. I
Yeah.
think the bias completely shifts. I think you people should start to look for something like this. That's a bullish thing. Like, why not? But I just don't believe it. Looking at the world, I just cannot believe it. Looking at macroeconomy and geopolitical stuff, I just cannot. And to just end up with one little astrology thingy, uh, as you can see, I think, yeah, S&P printed weekly bearish divergence in a macroeconomic shitfest and in a downtrend. So that is something not to fade, along with what and it's developing now and it's playing out. That is something that shouldn't be ignored on this scale. So it made a lower high while it made a higher high on RSI. That is something that means that the buyers gave same amount of effort, even more here than they did here. So it took a lot more buying to bring us to these prices than it did back here, which by itself it's pretty bearish. So to turn off the astrology, everything points down. And you said that your targets are just a bearish retest of 200 moving averages. Mine is the weekly node at around 4,100. So it's probably just a deviation above your meme
Yeah.
line, pretty much, just to fool everyone out. Why not?
Dude, I want you to
And
know
just
that many people have replied to my tweets and stuff and called uh, moving averages meme lines because of you. And I kind of hate you for it. I'm not going to lie. But
look at
yeah,
I mean,
uh, the little deviation above would be the 4 hour 200 EMA for me. So it's not really quite a deviation because I think people get
you use
confused.
both of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
use
use
both
both
of
of
them.
them, but I don't use them as precise indications. If they end up being exactly precise and pinpoint accurate, cool. It's even better for me. But I use them as general momentum portrayals, which then means that moving averages don't tell me anything that I don't already fucking know, right? Within 4 seconds of looking at the chart. So there's just a
Let
way
me
of me being able to justify that. So
yeah,
a
let me
move
just
up to
close
your
up.
weekly node, sorry, a move up to your weekly node would not be like crazy. It would be well within the realm of my system. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll just let
just
you
just the
finish up.
just the closing point, since I know we're out of time already. You can put on my screen again. I call it meme lines, but it's actually really relevant because a lot of people look at them.
Yeah.
And look at how much it was respected back here. I didn't tweet it's over, like the tweet that I posted, like Pico top, because of the 200 moving average. I posted it because I saw DXY bottoming. Like, it did such a nice bottoming structure for me on lower time frames. I'm not gonna get into my edges, what it showed to me, but it was just phenomenal and beautiful. I look at these moving averages as people, a lot of people look at them and they're gonna trade by them. Oh, I'm sorry. They're gonna use them as their trading indicators, and that's a good sentiment gauge. And you can just see a deviation here. Like a lot of people are gonna be short here, and they're gonna get fucked.
Go
And
to the 4
now
hour.
a lot of people are gonna are, I know, but this is still daily. A
Sorry.
lot of people are gonna expect maybe a deviation. A lot of people expected a deviation and they didn't get it. So market just disciplines you to expect one thing here, like you get a deviation here, and now people are gonna expect another deviation here before a move down. And fuck you, market says no deviation for you. It's straight down. It's straight bounce off the. So market just conditions you to believe into one thing before it fucks you in the ass with the other thing. Excuse my French, but that's how these moving averages work. And a lot of people expected a deviation here because the deviation happened here, because the deviation happened here. So I'm like, maybe now it won't happen. But no, that's not why I called the top there. But it's interesting that it also was a Pico top with 200-day moving average. And let's switch to 4 hour. Pretty much. You can also see a deviation here,
Yeah.
slight deviations here. I don't have the EMA, I just have the MAs. So I wouldn't be surprised that the 4-1 gets stacked. 4-1 is actually an important level. Like it's these highs. Like historically, I think it's actually a decent level. It's also these highs. So if I turn on the higher time frame charts, it's 4-1 is an important level, and it's a breakdown level from here. So there's a lot of liquidity sitting here, a lot of liquidity past the moving average. It's your EMA. Your EMA is somewhere around here if I'm looking at your screen. Yeah, it's about that. So yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Why not deviate and just nuke further down? And yeah, that's my
Why
closing
not?
point. That's
All
my
right,
closing
man.
point.
I appreciate your
So
time. I'm just gonna close out the video. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed having Smiley on. This guy obviously knows what he's doing, and he's a very good friend of mine. So if you guys want more videos with Smiley, like this video, let Smiley know how much you appreciate him coming in and doing this video with me. Also, Smiley doesn't know this, but I'm hosting a iPhone 13 giveaway. So if anyone wants to be entered in my iPhone 13 giveaway, all you have to do is sign up through my Bybit referral link and deposit at least $10. That's what classifies as a deposit. So that's the minimum. And just by doing that, you automatically get entered into potentially winning an iPhone 13. So pretty cool stuff. Donate to me so that I can afford some avocado toast in the midst of this fucking bear market. I'll split everything half with Smiley, of course. There's Smiley's Twitter in the description if you want to go follow him. And yeah, appreciate you guys watching the video. Hope you got some value from it.
peace.